Good evening, everyone. It's 7:02. If we can kick the meeting off at 7:02. We're sharing a couple mics, although you guys sat in a good place, you don't have to worry about that. Please make sure you put your mic on when you talk. It's just a reminder. Tonight we are doing a few things. We're a facility naming request. We have the first one of those in many years. We're going to talk about the JMU's traffic patterns, and then we have approval of minutes. Pat, if you want to introduce the facility naming request rules and regulations, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gage, you were on the committee, as was Finley and Lori, the last time we did one of these, which was 2008. But at that time, the school board gave the facilities request review to this committee, and what you have in your packet. And there's Lori. But we wrote the policies, we wrote the procedures, we used things that they had in place. But I thought it was appropriate to just show you. We wrote the application. And the most important thing is, in looking at this. Yes, I know. He didn't respond. So, the biggest thing is the procedures that they're supposed to be filling out this application, and there was a whole list of rules and things that we did. The packet that was sent to you all with the naming application that I think you've seen included a whole bunch of stuff. Some of it was the old original stuff, and some of it was the new stuff, because it's been so long since we've done one of these. We had to find where the paperwork was, because it had been put in the files for the last whatever years. The most important thing, and I remember Lori defining the categories. The last page is a sheet that after we get the application and make a decision as to what we're going to do, but each of you is going to be asked to rate the application. And I remember Lori defining the qualities. But the rule is that the application has to, each criterion should receive a combined committee average of 3 or better, and the combined committee total average score is 16 or better. There are people here tonight who submitted the application, which is the second thing in your packet, with all the letters of recommendation and addressing it. And they just want to present it to you, and they know that we're not going to be voting tonight. But they wanted to tell you how they feel and why they feel, and request that you approve this application. And then we send a letter to the school board with the committee's recommendation.
So, to clarify, Pat, can we approve it tonight or no? We're just listening tonight.
We're just listening tonight, right?
Okay.
Yes,
So
we're just listening tonight.
We're not going to do anything. So we're just listening, and then it needs to sit for a year, and then
Actually,
the next group
we
can.
didn't talk about that, but
So I think, yes, but I think you can, the whole policy is written because the whole policy was written because I think they just, sometimes there's an emotional attachment. Someone passes away that was head of a department or something, and so at that moment in time, everyone wants to do a lot of different things, so they thought, give it a year. That's where the policy came from.
Since we have all these recommendations and this person isn't passed away, are we good to just bypass the year for this situation?
I think this came about because when we built the middle school, Pete Petula wanted to name it Ronald Reagan Middle School. There was actually a warrant article on the ballot to be voted on. It's advisory only. So then we decided to come up with a facilities naming process. And Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you have to wait a year after the event that causes the recommendation. So it doesn't mean that someone has to pass on. It could be somebody has to retire, and then after they're retired for a year, then they can be considered to have something named
Right,
after them.
so yeah, I'm torn on this one, Shane, because I think policies are, so if I was looking at it from like a principal's, policies are written for a reason, right? So,
Yeah.
but I also understand, like, when you look at, this committee meets randomly, and, so I get both sides of this.
Yeah, what would you like to,
I thought that he did retire though.
He
Isn't
did-
he?
He didn't retire.
So he,
didn't retire.
as a teacher though, I
He
mean.
did retire as
so
a teacher.
couldn't, okay, I was just working around it. So.
He's still, I think he's still coaching.
Cool.
And,
Oh, he has to retire
he
from all the
certainly-
things?
He
can't-
certainly
okay.
is deserving
was trying to
of
get him.
this. He's certainly deserving.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
it's just a matter of, how, I don't know legally what the legal ramification is of bypassing a policy, a written policy.
Is the event his retirement from the school district? Or is the event his eventual retirement from being the track coach?
So being on this committee, do you remember when we wrote,
You
when
have-
we did this a long time ago? It was, they just wanted, from the moment you got the application till you did it, the only reason was they wanted time. That's all. The committee wanted time. And I think the school board,
Yeah, I mean, it was
Agreed
regardless
to
of
it.
the emotional attachment.
Correct.
Retiring physically or just retiring they wanted that emotional quotient out of it and just be a logical decision whether it's gonna be a good idea or a bad idea.
So what is the timeline for this nominee?
So
When did
February
retirement
11th?
happen? The nomination happened February 11th, right?
Why don't we hear from them?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, I just
yeah,
didn't
why
know
don't we
were-
hear from
I
you?
didn't know if we had to vote on something first,
If
was
the
my whole
event
point here.
happened a year ago, then
Yeah.
the event happened a year ago, however we define that event.
Joseph, it's all you, or
It's Pat.
Pat.
And we have a former school board member here, so that's it.
school board member, Mr. McGrath.
I want to introduce Jason Wright, who really came up with this idea back in April or May.
we need a microphone.
Yeah,
Yeah, please come up and sit. Yeah.
grab,
Come on, guys.
grab a microphone, yeah. I'm gonna get this on tape for posterity.
And please just introduce yourself too.
Yeah.
So, Jason Wright, I know a couple of the people here in the room, so, I ran for Coach Snell back 1994 through 1998. I've had, one daughter who's run for Coach Snell since then, and one daughter right now. And then this year I started coaching as well in the track program. So Coach Snell has made a huge impact on my life. But I think, so a year ago, I was talking to Coach Snell and I recommended doing an alumni mile event at the Merrimack Invitational Track Meet that happens every year. And he was totally on board with it. Not too long after, so this was a year ago, Pat and I talked and we said, how about we name this the John Snell Alumni Mile? And then we said, how about we try to name the facility for Coach Snell too, because that was a huge thing that John did, and Pat as well, in getting the track facility at Merrimack, which when I was running Merrimack, I didn't have the track, so we ran on the roads, in the cafeteria, wherever we could. So again, the thought came about a year ago. We've put a committee together, and that's where some of the letters came from that we have submitted. Former athletic director, former athletes, current coaches as well. So, and yeah, so Coach Snell, I don't know exactly how long he retired from teaching, but it has been over a year.
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah, and with Coach Snell, for those of you that know him, you probably know that he won't stop coaching until he literally can't, so that might be a while. But one of the reasons why we were trying to push for this so much is because we wanted to, if possible, let him know that we are also naming the facility for him at the first annual Alumni Mile, which will be in May.
Is this kind of a secret then? Does he know this is going on?
He knows the Alumni Mile, but he doesn't know it's the John Snell Alumni Mile. He doesn't know that we've been doing anything with the facility naming. We know this is being taped and it
Yeah,
could get out.
This was the worst of time decision for us to go on the air. It's our first meeting on.
So that's
We're
all.
on the air all year. This is terrible.
So that's all, that's all good. We understand that, but he does not know about the John Snell Alumni Mile. He doesn't know about the naming, the facility that we've done.
So it's been a while, so I think what happens here is, we make a recommendation, and then the recommendation goes to the school board, and then the school board has the final, say. So, you know, again, this committee could do something, and then the school board could say, no, we're not gonna, you know, do it for a year, but they could make a recommendation. That's all up to this committee, however you wanna.
What's the name of it now?
There
is none.
Merrimack Track and Field.
Yeah.
So the guy's been coaching for a million years, and everybody's had him. I've had what else would we call the thing? I mean, you know.
We
Yeah.
wouldn't call it anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have the power to like vote this?
That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to say.
That's what I was
Well,
trying to say originally.
I don't know
I
if we have the power or not, cause it's a policy, but, so that would be, but we could.
We're in
could
charge of the
move-
naming rights,
We
though,
could
right?
move forward and find out.
Well, allow me to read the policy. Such honor will only be conferred after 1 year waiting period for the event prompting the request.
retirement.
This
fee.
is
Retirement.
this is
The event is when we
His
define the.
retirement.
That's not what it was meant for, is when they come forward. We
No, it
were on the
doesn't
committee
specify.
at that time. 1 year from when you come
It
forward.
says the event. Doesn't
One
say
year from the
submission.
event, the death or whatever. Was the death.
Cause they started requesting like, these letters started in I'm sure there's sooner than January or further back. I'm sure that there's some further back than January, but there's ones that are in January in here too.
I mean, this, you know, I guess we could. Seems like a good thing to do, right? Like just in general, this seems like a good thing.
It is-
I don't think we need to
it's
get
a
hung
real-
up with
it's
a
a
ton of
really good
policy.
thing.
Right. So like the guy retired a bunch of years ago. He's still going to coach forever. If that's the case, you know, why wait the year? So if we have the naming rights in the town, maybe we take a vote to get this going tonight. We put the paperwork in and we submit it to you guys. I mean, this shouldn't get hung up, right?
And I'd propose.
I'm
I'm
not
looking at the
sure.
two people
Can
that
we
know what
vote?
they're talking about. I don't. I'm just winging this.
I remember when this policy was written, and, you know, the event was, you know, if somebody passed away, or the event could be a retirement, the event could be something. So that's when the clock starts ticking. You don't wanna have somebody pass away and then 2 days later have a stadium named after them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
As an emotional response. You wanted a year's passing of time, so it wouldn't be one of these knee-jerk reactions, like all of a sudden I pass away and you name, I don't know, the old a calculator after me or something like that, right? Because everybody's just so broken up over it, right?
This certainly doesn't seem emotional. So if that's the case, then
Yeah.
Couple questions, maybe that help, provide some context here. So how long has John been, how long did he teach?
Just about, I think, it was over 41 years. So he coached for 41 years, but it was, or it has been coaching so far for 41. But it was at least 4 or 5 years before that he was also teaching.
Okay, so that was the second question, is how many years coaching, but I got 41, so you think it was about 5 years less of teaching?
No,
Five more
Yeah.
of teaching,
Yeah,
46.
He was an educator in the district for approximately 5 years before he was approached to be the track coach. So, and he has continued in his role, or, you know, as the track or cross-country coach.
So 46 years of service, and he retired about a year or two ago? Year and a half?
From,
it's about 4 or 5.
I say, at least 5 years since I started working there. 4 years ago, he
5
had already
years.
retired, at least a couple years before me.
All right, well, I'm gonna propose to the group here that maybe we define an event as the moment that John retired,
Because there's also
and
races.
we take this into
That's what I wrote.
consideration based off of
remember
that.
being on this committee.
I know.
I can make that a
And so
motion.
I remember when we wrote it, and it was because we wanted that.
Because there's nothing that says in the policy
when they
that
came,
we
not
can't
when they
decide what the
died,
event
when
is.
they-
Yeah, no. I just make a motion. Let's get it going.
So I'd like to make that a motion, Pat.
She was listening to almost 0 of those words.
Pat, we have a motion for.
She heard her name being called, and that's probably it? In case you're wondering.
vote on it, right?
We gotta get Pat caught up here.
So she's just showing, like, from when this, so we were
understood.
all on the committee when we came up with these rules. And so, I'm gonna say, the rules really, at the time, we did have a number of people who did come all at once. And what happened was the school board, and probably Pat was on the school board at the time, gave the ability to this committee to make the recommendation to the school board on naming the facility. And so that's when the rules came up. And so,
We don't have like a ton of
the
facilities.
policy actually came from the school board
it's
to
everything.
this committee.
yeah.
So this committee did not write the policy. So the policy came from the school board to the committee on how, so we can still make a recommendation. We can say, we understand this, but we felt that to the school board, and the school board will probably invite this committee. And my only other point on this whole thing is that, in my heart of hearts, Pat McGrath was just as important in getting that track built as John Snell. So John Snell had the heart and the students, but Pat McGrath did a ton of fundraising, and he also had the school board magical wand. So, so I just want people to know that too, that, you know, Pat McGrath was equally invested in this track.
Absolutely.
We have a motion.
And,
A motion.
is the motion to approve the recommendation?
Well, I
Because-
was gonna be a little more specific and make a motion that we define the event via the policy item number 2 to be the retirement of John for the purpose of now voting on this going forward as recommendation or not.
Okay, because to vote for.
I'll second.
Okay. Because there's still that graph that we have to fill in.
Yep, we're gonna do that right after this. All those in favor?
Okay.
Okay, so we'll see.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a cool thing. So do we have to fill this out now, the graph, and give you the numbers? Okay.
If you wanna
so
vote now, you can do this later.
Let's get
We
this
have
done,
people here.
and then let's move on to the traffic, right?
Okay.
We got a couple more minutes here, and then we're done. So did everybody, this page right here, we just gotta fill this out. We're gonna read our numbers off to Pat.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Good night.
guys. What?
You gotta wait a year.
Well, wait a
You can say what you want your event to be, and you can say,
That's
like,
right.
you know, over his dead body, you know, one of those two.
Never know, it sneaks up on you.
It does.
Let us know when you're ready, Pat.
I've gotta get the right document.
Are we just
Sure.
saying our total? of
Yep.
them?
No, she's gonna read off on the next page. You'll see the chart she's gonna fill out.
No, you fill in each of those. The
That's
last
her
page.
chart. Yours is the page prior.
Prior.
There you go.
Is that a grid? Yeah, that's yours.
That's a cool thing. Just the first one, yep. The 4 numbers, and then Pat's gonna, that's hers to fill out the next one. Yeah.
can move a microphone down. We can just move it down.
I'm not gonna speak much. You're not gonna talk much, believe it or not, there isn't much to say.
He's my emotional support. I brought two.
You good?
I'm good. Gauge. Quality.
I said 5.
Impact.
4.
Uniqueness.
4.
Overall.
5.
Shane.
5. 5. 4. 5.
Wait a minute, 4. Okay, Tim.
4, 4, 4, 5.
Lori.
I didn't know if I should vote, because I'm gonna be bringing this to the school board.
Okay,
So I'm gonna find out what they want me to do.
okay, because I had the old ones from back, and the school board rep did not vote the last time we did this.
Well, that's what I
have the rec-
figured.
Yeah,
I knew that if it's okay.
Yes.
I think that they should be able to, but I knew.
what?
I should all 5s.
Well, I have to tell you that the requirement of meeting an average of 3, you passed that.
Yeah. So, we have a quorum,
Yes,
but we are not voting in a quorum. Because Laura's not voting.
Lori's not voting because,
No, I'm not, I'm just
And-
saying,
and I hope-
does that impact?
no, your quorum is 4.
And when Finley gets here, he can vote.
Yeah.
Right, our quorum, exactly, our quorum is 4, but
1,
we've only have,
2, 3, 4.
okay.
Who are you not counting?
No, I know, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
He got
John-
nervous.
John-
Just say,
John didn't
there's
obviously teach me
definitely
math.
5 people.
He's just getting nervous.
No, I know, I just wanna make sure that, yeah, okay, no, sorry. No, sorry.
And if I may, for just a minute, sitting in the audience are the 2 individuals who are running for the 2 open seats on this committee since Gage
Hopefully you
and
can count.
Shane.
I know, once you get here, you never leave. How many years?
More than 20.
More than 20.
Yeah.
I know.
right there with them, and Finley
Yep.
was on before.
Well, that's, when I
Alright.
came in, I teared up a little, 'cause, like, this is like where we see each other.
Pat, did
So-
you get the count you needed?
Are we good on that portion?
Yeah, well, it certainly has the average of 3 or better.
You got all 4 of us?
I got all 4 of them.
Okay. Do we need to do anything else to officially recommend it to the school board?
No,
Excellent.
we have to write a letter.
All right. Just put my name on the bottom of that for me, would you, when you write it? The, all right, JMU's traffic patterns. Somebody want to start and present, or how do you guys want to do this? Situation stinks, we need a solution.
Well, I was gonna kind of
Be a little more eloquent.
be a little more, the situation right now is there are a lot of parents dropping kids off in private vehicles. I'm not sure how many, but I bet you it's well over 100 cars that are lined up. They line up almost past the VFW, sometimes all the way to Indian Rock on one side. Babusick Lake Road, they have blocked that area, that intersection, where it meets the route, ever turn, what is that? What is that?
DW Highway?
Yeah, whatever, the main drag, yeah. And the issue is getting through the parking lot, getting the cars out, getting the traffic that just blocks McElwain Street. And then you have the buses coming in too at the same time. And it's become a situation where, a lot of years ago, all the kids took the buses, and now the parents drive them in. That's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is, these schools, when they were designed, were never really designed to handle a lot of traffic because they're this Mastrocola campus plan that was at least 12 to 13 additions to that school in Mastrocola Elementary School, and then the Smith Gym that took the two schools and put them together in one big monolith of a building that's probably 200,000 square feet, you know. And then looking at the parking area and the area we go through is Our Lady of Mercy Church. And we have an agreement with them, a memorandum of understanding with the church, so does the town of Merrimack, that if they wanted to negate that, they could give us 90 days notice, and we could not use that property for parking and or to travel through, which is something that has concerned me for a lot of years, because if not for that, where will we put all the cars? But that's just something that I just wanted to put out there for you guys to think long term. But the short term is there is a lot of congestion in this area in a very short amount of time, and it causes a safety concern if you have to have emergency vehicles get through. I've seen that. I've sat in it. I've actually camped out there and see when the first cars show up in the morning, and then they just wait until 8:25, and then the cars can open their doors and the kids can go into school. But they're by 8:25, they're stacked up to McElwain Street, and they're on Babusick Lake Road, and you just can't get there. If I get to the office around that time, I'll just go up to O'Gara Drive and I won't even mess with that area, because it's you can't get, you're in line right when you take that left to go on McElwain. So it's something that we have a copy of the current plan, which is on this little white sheet here. This is how everything moves. And then we've got another bigger picture of what could be proposed, but we really kind of want to talk this through and hear what STA has to say as a solution to a problem that I don't know if it's going to be an easy solution. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I have no idea, but we can't keep continuing on the way we are right now. So we're just bringing this forward to you. It was my understanding you guys wanted to have this sort of meeting because of complaints and whatnot with traffic in town. And this is a busy town now. I mean, if something happens on the highway, you're backed up past Dunkin' Donuts trying to get to the center of town, right? And it just is what it is. It's not a sleepy little hamlet anymore. But, so we just kind of bring this, there he is. Bring this for your consideration so you can take a look at it and we can have a conversation and we can have like a nice work session to see which way we want to go. I don't know if STA wants to say anything right now at this point in time, or you want to give us your feedback, or how would you like this to proceed?
However you recommend. I just had a quick clarification question before we started. And I know I'm holding you up a piece of paper across the room here, but this is our acre of land that we have, right? This dark tree portion right down here.
Yeah, that's the acre, yes.
And then there's no. I haven't been down there in a while. Is there room right here?
You'd be going over ball fields, and you'd be cutting through the, what is it, the lacrosse
There was a
field?
fence there, and then there was like a walking path.
Yes.
Not big enough for.
Not big enough for a road.
All right.
No.
That was my clarification question, just
No.
as we go through.
No.
So there's no land change here that we can do.
No. Okay. Not unless you want to take a field.
No. No.
And
We need more fields.
that's why, for the upper elementary school, that someone on this committee likes to call the exercise yard, that I put in when we changed it to grades 5 and 6.
Prison yard.
I'm picking on you.
It's the prison yard. Say it right.
I caught the barb.
You cut the barb? Yeah.
Toughens them
I
up.
actually enjoy that. I think it's funny. But, you know, it was the only place we could build a paved surface to have basketball hoops and have it fenced in and everything like that. That was the only spot it could go. And when we were doing the modular classrooms before that building became the upper elementary school. That was the only spot we could put them.
We're not going to
Because-
Monday morning quarterback you. Don't you? We're not.
Okay.
You don't have to defend it, man.
Well,
You did
people
fine.
said I did it on
No,
purpose,
no,
right?
This guy.
But it was the only place that we could put it because we didn't want to take fields because there's still limited field space in this town.
Yeah.
In fact, there was a study done by a bunch of esteemed individuals going back to 2013 that recommends a big field expansion program for this town. But it's been laying there since 2013. So that's a story for another day.
You bring something up though. This field has water issues, big time.
Has what?
Water issues, doesn't it?
No.
This one right here, the
No.
baseball field,
No.
isn't. Oh, okay, that's not one that has a water issue. Oh, that's great.
The underlayment of those. Middle school, yeah.
Okay.
Middle school has a clay base to it, and it's really rough. That over there is sand. The only problem is, you know, if you get a rainy spring or you get a lot of snow and everything like that, it takes a while. And we've been compared to, well, Bedford has their fields up earlier than ours. Well, we had the guy from Bedford who does the Bedford fields because they subcontract a lot out. And he says, you're on the same time frame as Bedford is. So whoever was floating that rumor, it just wasn't true. The fields right now look pretty darn good because we spent a lot of money on them last year to weed everything and cut the lines real nice and get everything going. So they're going to be ready pretty soon as long as everything dries out. But the drainage on those fields are pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Are we
Yeah.
asking them their questions to them first, or are we?
However you guys want to do it. I have no idea. Go for
You
it.
should let. Oh, I was gonna say, do you
you
have
guys wanna talk?
things you want to say first?
Yeah.
So we just had some suggestions
Yeah.
on how we might be able to fit the buses at least in there to get out of the way.
Do you want to make sure everybody has a copy of this?
Yeah, Pat gave everybody
Pat
a
gave
copy.
everybody a
Yeah.
copy of that?
You all right? Need some more?
So I did put how we currently drop off, and this is all from our perspective. I don't know what goes on with the cars, and I don't know what goes on with the inside of the school, but what we do in the morning for our drop off. And right now, we're allowed to drop off 3 buses before the crosswalk. We have 13 SAU buses and a YMCA bus that goes in, so that means a minimum of 5 drop-offs at a time. Drop-offs 3 at a time. The buses unload within like 3 minutes, no matter how many you have there. So our suggestion is to put, in the afternoon, we have 7 that pick up in 2 waves. So we want to do 6 in the morning for the first wave, and we understand that the first 2 would block the ability for cars to leave because we'd have our reds out. But if we can get those 6 buses out of the way, and kids can cross at the crosswalk because we're not moving and we're letting kids out. So if the parents let their kids out of the cars and they can all cross, once everything's clear, then we move and then do the behind the crosswalk for the next 2 would just make 2 more drop-offs at, the minimum. And they do stagger, so it wouldn't always be like a big session for the next ones. The first ones do congregate. And then hopefully that would at least get the buses off of Babusick Lake Road. And sometimes what they're doing right now is the drivers, when they come up, they have no space to go. They don't want to block the road. They're actually circling around through the schools or around town to try and waste time so that they can pull in safely. When we leave Bishop Road to take the left on McElwain, we are now having cars on the right side going towards Babusick Lake Road to go left into the church parking lot. We have the vehicles on the other side to turn right into the parking lot. So we're in the middle of 2 lanes, and then the cars coming at us to go to the high school are in the middle of 2 lanes, and it's just really unsafe. So we're all on board for changing something.
I brought this up, I get stuck in that traffic in the morning after dropping kids off at the at the elementary school. But I've noticed that the buses are now, a couple of them have pulled over on the cemetery side, waiting for the buses to clear. The problem with blocking, if I understood you, letting the number of buses double stack, I guess, and letting them off at the crosswalk and holding the cars longer, is that backs them up into Babusick Lake Road. because it does back up that far, and then it jams up. People are pretty courteous about it. But I'm not sure what the best way to handle it is, but I know we had to talk about it, which is why I brought it up. So I don't know if utilizing a different traffic pattern altogether, going down the drag strip, coming across the front of the high school and coming up left turn into Bishop Street. I'm just not sure. I have no solution, so I'm just a complainer, I guess.
Would that be for the cars or the buses going in Bishop Street?
For the cars coming in, actually.
Okay.
The
So I would
buses,
say for us, we would have to then take the right onto School Street. We'd be then having the kids all cross to
wrong
the
side.
opposite
Yeah,
side.
no, I think the buses, again, I've tried to come up with ideas in my head, and I just really can't. But I think the pedestrian cars, if you could keep them from McElwain turning right into, through the parking lot, it would lessen the traffic on Route 3. If people won't be pleased with that, going down the drag strip, coming up and taking a left onto Bishop or a left into the cross, the parking lot.
O'Gara Drive, he said drag strip.
Yes, O'Gara Drive.
The drag strip, that's good. I know exactly what he's talking about.
It's been for a long time, but, so I don't know how it would work out for you, but
The other problem is that they have to stop the vehicles coming into Bishop Street when we are leaving, because it's not wide enough for us to take the turn.
I'm sorry, say that again. So I
They
didn't
stop the vehicles coming down Bishop Street while we are taking the left to leave the school,
Right.
Yeah,
because we cannot fit safely when we take that left.
onto Bishop to get
Correct.
out.
Where's that,
Yeah.
here or here?
So leaving the school, taking a left on,
See how it
that one
makes
right
it-
there,
That's,
yeah.
so right here.
Yep.
Right.
So they'll stop them back here so you guys can make that turn?
On-
Correct,
And they
yeah,
put-
probably about 2 or 3 bus lengths back, so maybe 150 feet or whatever, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
For-
Caitlin.
First, I had, excuse me, question for you guys. If we were to do this change, what would that affect for the buses that are leaving O'Gara from MES, not J Muse, but MES drop off? Which direction do they? I'm glad this was brought up because I also sit in this. I have kids in MES and J Muse, so it's like a fun little loop-de thing that we all get to do.
MES bus drop-off is in the back.
It's in the back.
Right,
It's in the back.
right, but people are going to be going down O'Gara,
Gara.
so you're going to be
If you're looking at
Putting
this, it's
people
gonna,
there.
this is gonna interfere with the MES drop-off.
Yes.
Which used to be in the front, but we cut down all the pine trees,
Mm-hmm.
which I had to do, and we made the drop-off area in the back of the school. We redid that entire parking lot.
So
That
there's
place looks
only,
great.
there's only one bus
place looks
that
great.
would take a right into MES in the morning, the rest go left into MES.
Okay.
And then all of them would leave to the right.
Okay, perfect. That was my question. If they were going to be turning, I was going to say they're not going to be able to go anywhere if they're turning left because all those cars are going to be turning on. I was thinking a way to make this easier to avoid some of the traffic that would be on Daniel Webster, not Daniel Webster, Babusick. Would be if we were to have people, and I think this would, I don't know if we would, this wouldn't be something that I would say we would start now. I would think this would be like a start of the school year so that we can actually get people on board. You would not believe how many people are still trying to figure out how to do regular drop off now, and we're a good lot of months into the school year. So that's the only reason, just because if we were like, this is a change, and maybe we put somebody like at the areas to make sure cars are going the right way. But if you were to have the people that are taking Babusick, they turn on to O'Gara, but people that are coming off of Daniel Webster, could they take Woodbury and go up near like at where Buckley's is, go up Woodbury and meet up at that area, and that way you're saving a whole bunch of that traffic in general because you won't be having the light, right? You won't have people at the light, and you won't have that many people coming up and in that are trying to go around with the buses.
Still have high school, right?
I mean, you're already going to high school here. You're already doing it. So,
Block the buses at Bishop.
You what?
They're still gonna block the buses at Bishop trying to get out.
Well, I was
Well, if they do
thinking
this, though,
they
they're not
wouldn't
going to
do,
Bishop.
yeah, and they wouldn't do, if they did this new one that we're talking
They're
about.
on McGowan coming out though.
And I was
Like, it's
thinking
turning
that
left
they
into
wouldn't, yeah, they
church.
wouldn't need to do Bishop. They turn in the cars, like parents drop off. You come all the way up to that, so you wanted to do 6 buses, of drop-off kids, that you would have the last spot closest to the church, where the cars, like that would be car number 1 is like that front spot, and they loop around you. Is that?
There's a picture that I put with my notes.
Yes, but so if you guys are looping around the parking lot, you're going into the parking.
If we go in the oval.
Yeah, you're.
So the
you're-
oval was repainted for MES to have more parking spots.
Yeah.
We would be really, really tight in there.
to turn around there, you
Correct.
can't. Oh, okay.
We
all
do
right.
it during evacuation days, but they generally cone off some of the spots, and we have extra staff out there.
Okay, because I was thinking that if you guys could, because it looks like you loop turn around in this this one right here.
That's the proposal. Right now, we just go down School Street and take a left on Bishop.
But that's what I mean. Like,
Oh,
would
yeah.
you be would you be able to turn? Like, can you?
This is current.
Yes.
This is what you do now.
The PM is the afternoon. What, I think they have one.
So in the afternoon, we can put 7 buses there for pickup. So there's really no issue there, obviously, because the
Oh
traffic
yeah, I
is
wasn't
different,
worried about the
okay?
afternoon. It was more the morning.
So our proposal in the morning is to at least put 2 past the crosswalk and then 4 and get them emptied. And then we will have time when the other buses come in, we can keep them prior to the crosswalk, and then the cars would come down and go up Bishop. They'd take a left and go up Bishop. The problem we have with going into the Oval also is that we drop off the special ed buses. When they have their lights on, we have to stop, so it's gonna be a delay anywhere in there. Like Michelle says, when we do bus evacs, and we have a time difference here too. MES starts school a little early. JMU starts at 10 minutes later. So what happens is, and you'll know, is that if you get there late to MES on the back parking lot,
right, you can't.
they have to come down Bishop Street now and go into the circle and drop off.
That was going to be my next
And then that
point.
becomes a nightmare because the buses now can't make turns because people don't usually give them the space that they need to make the turns. They get it after a while, but that becomes a nightmare. And then we have to get the small buses out because not only do these small buses go to MES, they go to other schools too. So.
So I'm glad we're addressing it, and I think that, we have a couple proposals here, and I think that maybe we could implement, maybe the bus part, like we could start to see if that would ease up, because I think that, there was some good thought put in here. It's just seeing if it would actually do what we think it's going to do, and I think that would be the way to go.
Going into the oval, also the students would be crossing, so we'd have to make sure there's extra staff to cross them from the stop sign to the school. So just another thing to keep in mind.
Has bus capacity oh, sorry, go ahead. Has bus capacity gone down?
So for the upper, it's gone up.
Capacity?
Not capacity, no.
You mean
Usage.
ridership?
Ridership.
Yes,
High school,
ridership.
middle school is always a little bit low because high school students, once they get licensed,
That makes sense.
they're done with the bus.
Middle school seems like bus time.
Loser cruiser.
So
It's
those
like
are
there's
where
always
we
COVID.
have, and don't forget, one of the things we have is a lot of parents get upset because we have less students on the high school, middle school buses. But they have to remember that those buses go out all the way out to like Joey's Diner. They go all the, or well, now Marion's, they go all the way out to, the Bedford Town Line. They have to be back to the schools within like 20 minutes. So yes, we could make more, but then they'd be late to the elementary schools for pickup.
Oh, I actually wasn't
Yeah.
thinking that. I was just wondering why so many parents are driving the middle schoolers to school now.
The reason I believe
been
that
since
they do
COVID.
it, well, not even before COVID, the reason is it's centralized, okay? The parents are used to kids being in the Thornton's Ferry area, the Reed's Ferry area, and the MES area, right?
Yeah.
So now the kids are on buses longer. It can be up to 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Very rarely does it go over an hour unless there's traffic or there's issues on the road or if kids forget something in the school and they're running in and coming back out. So that happens at the beginning of the year. So during, because parents feel that the kids will complain, I don't wanna be on a bus 45 minutes. They bring them in, it's easier, right? And that's the problem. We do have huge ridership. I get on buses all the time, going over discipline with the children. And, you know, we have a lot of stuff on it. When we were kids, we didn't bring backpacks. They bring backpacks. They look like jetpacks when they get on the bus, right? That takes up space. We have musical instruments taking up space. The kids are jammed in there on most of the buses for JMUs. So even if we had everybody go, okay, let's bring more.
Still have problems.
We're gonna need more buses.
Got it. Okay, that's what I was
And
trying
I don't
to
think
figure
they
out.
want
Is it
that.
chicken or the egg here? Go
I
ahead,
mean,
Caitlin.
it's kind of a
When he's done.
catch-22.
Yeah, got that. Caitlin and then Laurie.
I know that a lot of the JMU's buses are 3 kids to a seat, like their capacity. So like it's not like we are, you know, like not that they're too much, but like the kids are, you know, filled to the seats or however many they're supposed to have. I don't know what the right number is, but like they have full seats. But I do also know that there's been an increase. I don't know how much of an increase, but a lot of the band kids play a lot of really big instruments, and a lot of parents are like, you can't fit, or not you can't, but you know, like it's a pain to try to fit that big instrument onto a bus. So I know that on band days, you have like whatever the day that percussion have theirs, and then the day that full band is always a longer line, I've noticed. So that's like another thing that kind of plays into it, is the band.
I was just gonna say, I know
think
that
your mic's
the
on.
school board, at least 2 years ago, had, you know, a bus study. I know we've asked people to do the bus study, like how many kids are on a bus. And, so if you start in September, but then you have, you know, sports, and you have after-school activities. So sometimes people don't understand, like, you have to have those seats available, but doesn't mean on that one day of the week. But every time, like, I see a bus, I look and I see the buses are full. But, you know, that study does help us to know that we are doing our due diligence, and these buses are at capacity or needed.
They're definitely at capacity in elementary and at JMU's.
Yeah.
And again, once we get to the high school, middle school, it
Well,
goes
it's a
down.
toss-up because, again, after-school activities and sports, and so they might play baseball, but
Right.
they need the bus for September through March, and now they don't need the bus, so I get all that.
It's also shared families too. Don't forget that, you know, you have this one who may be on this bus, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but then on this one, Thursday, Friday. So you have to have that seat for those students. So, yeah, it's tough.
Sorry, I forget your name, but you said you
Oh,
had
Pete.
some. Pete.
I'm the dispatcher for STA.
Oh, cool.
So, Matt, how many teachers can you have out in the morning at MEA or JMU's to oversee the unloading of buses?
Right now, there's probably like
3.
3. Yeah,
Right, can you have up to 5?
we can try.
Okay, so I look at this, my real job, I'm an air
Yeah.
traffic controller.
This is the guy.
Contrary, contrary to what the media will tell you, we're not supposed to have 2 planes on the runway at the same time. So literally, I'm a traffic manager. So my job is to look for efficiencies or inefficiencies and stuff. When we have multiple, it is, sorry. All right, better?
Yep.
All right. Usually talk loud enough. Anyway, when we have international flights, and I think of everything in terms of aviation and aircraft, because that's all I've ever known. When we have international flights coming in from overseas, the heavies that land at Boston Logan, they have to land on the long runway. When they do that, it disrupts the normal flow of traffic. So we tend to land 3, 4, 5, 6 at a time, so that we shuffle those guys through, we have that space, and then everybody else piles in. So that's the way I'm looking at this problem. If we can get 7 buses lined up, the first 7 buses lined up, to get the kids out, that's more than 50% of the buses. And then, right now, you're competing for the same territory. You're competing for the same runway. You have the parents that are competing for it, you have the buses competing for it. You said there were over 100 cars,
Easily.
13 buses. If you get the buses out of there quicker, you'll get the parents to move quicker. So the more we focus on getting the buses through the problem quicker, get them off the runway, the quicker you're gonna get those cars moving, because it's just gonna be a drop and go, drop and go, drop and go, drop and go. Yes, you're still gonna have cars backed up because there's 100 parents driving their kids to school. However, the problem is gonna be mitigated because they're gonna be moving. It's not gonna be a stop for 10 minutes and wait situation.
Go for it.
I was just wondering, my question was gonna be on the AM drop-off proposal. It shows 6 buses
Right.
on the right side for the first drop-off. Can they all empty at the same time?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Do they do that now?
Oh, they don't even need to be past the
No.
crosswalk.
Correct. We load 7 in the afternoon. So we
Correct.
could drop 7. If
Okay,
you
'cause
have
they-
the teachers there to be able to monitor the kids getting off the bus.
Yeah.
And make sure they go from the bus to the school, it's gonna take us less than 3 minutes to empty 7 buses and be on our
Because I
way.
agree with your concept, and that's what I didn't know if they were just letting it 2 at a time or whatever, so.
It's
right
3
now
at a
it's
time
3.
currently.
Right now, so yeah, I think that'll solve a big
I got
part
you,
of the
then I got you.
problem, and, because it's not a long period of time when it's jammed up, but once it gets jammed up, then it becomes a little chaotic.
Sit right here,
you know,
start here, and then go.
So I like that, I agree with that idea.
He's been quiet. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, go
Sorry.
ahead.
That's okay, I'm just not speaking up. Okay, so it sounds like the buses are not the main flow constraint,
Correct.
right? The buses you gotta have managed.
The way it works now is we'll drop off 3 buses. And while we're dropping off, they will let the students cross the crosswalk. And then we cannot move as bus drivers. If there are students next to us, next to the bus, we cannot move. We have to wait till the students are away from the bus before we can pull away. That's why it takes 3 minutes to unload. So as Michelle said, it's what, 5 different instances of unloading buses, where we can reduce that to 2 or 3 instances of
In this
unloading
recommendation.
buses. In that
All right, so-
recommendation.
So assuming that you go with this bus recommendation.
Yeah.
The real big issue is the number of cars, right? And
At
then-
some point, but you're gonna clear the buses out quicker, so you're gonna get the cars through quicker, because they're not gonna be
Gotcha.
competing for the same space.
But those cars in this pattern here, they're gonna pinch point here to
They
McLuhan
pinch point now.
and Babusick, right?
pinch point
Yeah.
now.
So has there been any thought to potentially making 2 rows of drop-off car and then only allowing one row to exit in one direction and the other row to exit in another direction so that you're not forcing a pinch
So
point?
the problem you're gonna get with that, and I don't, and I like the idea, I like the thought, but the problem you're gonna get with that, if we're unloading 4 buses, the car's gonna be passing a red, you can't put them in a position where they're gonna pass a red. When we have our
here,
reds out.
coming up here,
And-
that's the
and-
issue.
yeah.
Because you could also send a second row here and exit to Babusick,
Right.
and then they wouldn't even.
They wouldn't go until the buses are gone, though.
Well, then.
You have the other ones pulling in.
So we already
Once
have.
we're all
we already-
gone, that's
We
good.
already have parents passing the reds on those buses now.
Here.
I don't wanna put them in a
Yeah.
position where they're gonna do it anymore.
You record their license plate.
Yeah, it's a
That's another
private,
thing. I
it's-
got you, Gene, after a couple over here.
So just parting words, I mean, maybe if we could think of a pattern where you have 2 lanes, where a parent knows that they're gonna exit to McLuhan and then head south only,
Mhm.
or they're gonna exit back to Babusick, right? So you're pushing everybody in those cars in different directions, and they have to know which lane they wanna be in,
Yep.
to which exit they wanna go, right?
Right.
And then that would double your length of queue time.
That, absolutely.
those two.
And
So
that could
just
work, I can
for
see that working,
consideration.
but it's a learning process, you're gonna have teaching the parents to wait for the buses to unload, because they're.
But I was thinking the distance of cars lined up, right, and then getting down into
You'll get
public
another 10 or
roads.
12 cars, yeah.
If you can layer that as much as possible and then send them in different directions so they're not bottlenecking, just, anyways, just.
No,
food
that's,
for
so,
thought.
So I'm just trying to figure out what you're saying. Are you talking about putting 2 rows, 1 row going down where, like here,
Right.
and then
Yep.
another row going down here?
Yep, and then that
We
bottom
can't
row
do
can
that.
only exit to Babusick.
We can't use that front row by the church, cause church starts at 8:30.
Oh, okay.
So,
you have to leave-
I see what you're saying, it'd be awesome if we could put 2 rows, we only can put 1 row going down here, we can't put 2, because we've been told by the church who owns the property, and I get it, that they don't want us, they're giving us a blessing anyways to go down the way we are now, cutting across their property, but they said we cannot go down in front of the church and then, exit out School Street.
Caitlin, go ahead.
it'd be great, but
And then I got you there. Understood.
that's where we're at there.
So I was just gonna say that, we're fortunate enough the church lets us to use that, you know, their parking lot now, and they do for all these years. And then finally, I just wanna say the teachers that we do have on duty now do an outstanding job, for dropout and pickup, they do. So adding those teachers, I think, would be key, because the ones that do it right now, they're you know, early in the morning, they have good personalities and they're waving at the kids, and it's wonderful, so.
Yeah, if we can drop off 7 buses in 3 minutes or 3 buses in 3 minutes, I think everybody would agree that dropping off 7 buses in 3 minutes is a better outcome.
Yes, it is.
Go quick.
Yeah, you gotta speak.
Can I though?
Yeah.
Because I
Sorry.
thought I could. No, it wasn't. Would there be the first 7 buses there by 8:20? Wait, what is their first drop off? 8:20?
25.
Yes, but would there be 7 buses there by 8:20?
Right about there.
Because if there could, there's only 3 cars in that space where you're talking about across the crosswalk. There's only 3 cars that sit there anyway. I know, because I sometimes have to go into
You're one of
MES and go through there. What?
You're one of them?
I'm never ever that early. Oh, I'm dropping off my other kid whose school already started. Thanks for assuming that though about me. That was nice. Sure, good. If they could get 2 teachers out at the 8:20, and they could have drop off at 8:20 for those first 7, then you could have the parents still start at their regular 8:25 drop off and not using that front spot, and come in. I still like the idea of kind of utilizing O'Gara and also using Woodbury for people and having them come around and not using and coming through the parking lot up this way with the church here and going out this way. I know that they can't go out at the same time as the red light things, but that's where there would be all the cars stop when they hold up the stop, like we all stop there and we wait. We're like, thank you, you took our kids. Like, absolutely, I will wait 3 more seconds for you. So I think that because you're talking about if we could get 7 out real quick in the beginning, if that was something if we could try the 7 and starting now and have the school tell parents they're not going to use that first spots anymore, and their first spot starts at your first spot is the crosswalk, then you can get those first buses out and they can get there that 5 minutes earlier, and that might give that little window of a buffer for it to kind of slow down. And then at the start of next school year, I think that it would be good if we can get O'Gara paved, just saying, because that's a bumpy ride. And if you're gonna add everybody on it, then that's gonna be a lot. But if we could get at the start of the school year, we changed it to, if you're coming from Babusick, you turn on O'Gara. If you're coming down Daniel Webster, don't bother turning up at the library we're not allowed to use anymore. Just keep going down to the Woodbury Street and turn up and go up that hill and go on that way to McElwain, kind of thing. Thoughts?
My question for Woodbury is, how many people are going to let them out who are already lined up to go down McElwain from O'Gara?
Oh, I think that they're going to be that far down that it won't be like that many people that you wouldn't see like in every other kind of thing. People let you go through now if you're trying to go from, because right now you have people coming from both ways to get onto that one parent spot, and you have 4 cars deep, and then you see one car that's like, I'm just trying to leave to go to work, I'm so sorry for all of you, and they don't get to leave for 10 minutes because they're just living on McElwain and filled with regret.
Gina, if you want to come up and grab a mic, you can. Pete, quick question on that plan.
Yeah.
Does that help the buses being backed up in front of the cemetery if we do 7 at a time?
Yep.
All right, so that solves two problems.
Yes.
All right, so this seems like a home run.
Matt needs to address the time, though.
Yeah.
We cannot drop off before 8:25.
Yeah, 8:25 is when the teachers come out.
Okay.
8:20 is a non-starter.
Okay. Well, I mean, parents can still just back up those few spots and, be patient.
Good luck with that.
Go ahead, Gina.
I'm there. I'm part of it.
You could do it.
Just
You
a
get 20 to
question,
25.
because one of us drops off more than the other one does. So you're saying that if we can't, no one can use this after 8:30, right? Because church starts?
This
Just the front line.
The second line, right?
Right,
That's
this-
what you're saying?
Do you have a copy of
Right.
this, ma'am?
Right, so, yeah, so but on this one, isn't
Yeah.
it saying that we are gonna use that second line?
This one
Which-
doesn't work.
That's not, that
Yeah,
doesn't
oh,
work.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
this one doesn't work.
Okay.
We can,
Right,
So,
yeah,
So-
for multiple reasons. The
Right.
turnaround radius on the circle and the line, it just doesn't work.
Put that one away.
right.
while I agree that the O'Gara one would be fantastic, I don't know how to police that where parents aren't gonna cut, where they're not gonna take the way they're going now, because they're gonna be in a hurry, they're gonna think that they're more important, their kids are more important, and they're gonna come the usual way to cut everybody off, and I think that could lend to more situations that we don't want.
Are they cutting off the red thing?
Okay.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
They cutting off the swing arm? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean that they're going to, if we require them to go down, all the way down O'Gara to come back up to go
Yep.
to the bus yard, I
Oh,
can see
yeah, yeah, yeah,
parents
yeah.
coming in this way.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
And you mentioned you got people cutting these off?
yes, all the time.
You know, we used to have that issue many, many years ago. I'm sure you guys remember. And then the cameras started, and you started nicking people for that. And you know, that's a serious thing, right? We're talking about the safety of our
yeah.
kids running in front of the bus. Let's get the, why don't we get the police involved out there for a few days and start banging these people, and then they won't do it again. $1,000 tickets shut people up pretty quick.
That's a completely different.
Well, that's a serious
Yeah.
situation, though. That that's a side note. But
What
come on,
you're
you can't be
saying
cutting
is-
off the
What
swing
you're
arm.
saying is 100% accurate. We do what we are required to do. We turn that information in.
All right.
And with the video that we're required to submit.
If we have
Finley.
a video.
Yeah.
You
But-
only
but-
need the
but
statement
I-
from the driver and a license plate. You do not have to have a video to convict people.
Let's tell the driver, incentivize them to start writing down. This is
They
ridiculous.
do. The problem when we're dropping off is your concentration is on that child where
as well as it should be. Fair enough.
So if somebody's speeding by you, the last thing you're thinking of is, oh, wait, never mind you in the road. I'm going to catch that plate. So
Let's get one of those teachers to snap pictures of the license plate.
we have
Send 'em
parents
right in every
actually
morning.
have videos that
They're not allowed to. They're not allowed to.
Send them into the
Still
police.
saying that we
They're
have
not
to line
police.
up
They,
the
they're
people
not
and-
a police.
They can send a video in. Absolutely, they can. That's a
They're
citizen
not,
sending a
they're not,
video.
no, they're not a police state.
I'll stand out there for a couple
Okay.
days and send videos.
that would
But
be
what
the-
I was gonna say, Shane,
Finley had
is
something.
where I agree with you is we could, have police presence, like we're gonna have police presence and have a police officer there. I think it's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Except, we're 5 short on patrolmen right now.
All
so
right, but I understand.
having
Everybody's in
manpower
line.
do it, It's difficult. I think your suggestion earlier is the home run right now. I like the lineup of 7 buses at a time. Run that, you can start that as soon as you have the teachers on hand to do it. So you run that, see if that eliminates the problem. because
See if it
could.
does.
If
Yeah,
we get it
let's
faster.
try.
Because on the elementary drop off is where I go in the morning, and when I go home, I'm going through that traffic nightmare, so I go up Side Terrace instead. But towards the very end of the drop off, or probably in the middle of it, it starts to bleed back onto O'Gara Drive. But it's rare, it doesn't happen too much anymore, because I guess they just expedited the whole thing. So I think if we can get those buses off, we might learn that we don't really have to do much more, except dump more buses at one time.
I still think that you're gonna have a backup though, because if we can't start picking, if we can't stop dropping off at 8:25, even if the 7 buses can unload very quickly, the parents will back up. I think you're still, if you're trying to solve, I think that backup problem, I think you're still going to have it.
Buses should take priority. To your point, we got like
I
a
mean, I
million kids on
absolutely agree.
buses and 2
Absolutely.
kids in each car.
Right.
So if you want to get up quicker, just send a kid in the bus.
Right.
But also,
Legit.
I also think though that the buses parking along the cemetery just to let traffic continue westerly is a good idea. I don't know if it's a nuisance for them, but I've seen them do it on occasion over the past week or so.
I think we eliminate that. I think if you drop off 7
At a time.
the first shot, we eliminate it, they stagger after that. Like I said, I don't think, that's a great point you have, you're not gonna stop the backups, but you will get the traffic jam moving quicker.
Yeah.
Can I ask a
It's an easy
question?
start.
Yeah.
Since Finley brought this up, and to be perfectly honest, Finley, it was after a meeting you were talking about the effects, and was that after a town council meeting when you were talking about what's gonna happen when they work on the bridge to Babusick Lake Road? And that's what I wanna know is,
At the
what do they
public
do
hearing,
when,
I tried to get that incorporated, but it appears that they're not gonna do it. I don't know if it's space, right away, I'm not sure what it was, but it didn't seem to show up in the
Finley.
more recent draft.
You
Sorry about that. I was just saying,
yeah.
No. Do we need to do a motion on that or something
No?
to get your plan going?
no, that's not my, I just knew it had to be addressed.
Well, it's
Yeah.
Pete's plan,
It's-
but he can't do a motion. So
You're
do
not
we need
naming that-
anything, or
you're
can we
not
just
naming
do
that.
We will name it
Pete's plan? We're gonna put a sign up,
Yeah,
and we're gonna leave your phone number right in the bottom of it. Call with complaints.
yeah.
No.
And he's not even retired yet, so you'll be able to do that. Well, he's retiring next year, so.
July 31st.
Could you make the buses go, even though you're saying the cars can't go on O'Gara, is that what it's called? Could you make the buses take a right and go around O'Gara? Because then you wouldn't have all 7 buses waiting to take that left onto, I don't know, McElwain.
But they won't be
and
waiting
then-
if they do 7 at a time, he said.
Correct.
There'll be
They're
none
waiting.
waiting.
Right, but I mean, they still would have to wait there and then either be able to turn.
He
right
said they
or left.
wouldn't.
Oh, they wouldn't?
No.
No,
Okay.
and we cannot go left into Bishop to turn onto School Street because the kids will be going the wrong way.
No, I think she.
Backing up in
When
front
they're
of the
going
cemetery.
out, when they're
Whenever you
leaving.
have to
when
drive
I
they're
see what you're
those
saying.
cars, turn left on Bishop, turn left on McElwain, is there a way they could go the other way? I don't know how that works.
Don't forget you have the MES stuff. Well, it mostly clears up around that time. I don't know. I'd have to see how it would look.
I think that the suggestion of, let's do the
Should've
buses,
invited
as
Jeff
soon as
anyway,
we
you're
have
the
the
one back
teachers to do
there.
it, we could see how that works, and then at our next meeting say, it was a disaster, or a wonderful.
We're gonna scrap Pete's plan.
And I think why kids don't take the bus as much in middle school and high school, I mean, for me, middle school, to me, I think it's a very scary proposition to have my 7th grader with freshmen and sophomores. You also have to get up at the crack of dawn. My daughter can barely make an 8 a.m. bus, never mind get picked up at 6:35. So I think that might be another, those 2 big reasons why.
So I have worked for a 1-tier district, which is K through 12. I'll ride the buses. Best district I've ever worked for, just saying, because the older kids behave because younger kids are on. The buses I will love to drive in this district are the ones where I have drivers with young children, because those kids behave better because they know there's younger children on.
That's cool. Donna. And by the way, Donna and Gina are both joining the committee in a month, so that's why, just come on up. Good to hear
I
from you.
won't stay. I just wanted to let you know I work in Bedford, and we have the first traffic pattern that has worked in 20 years at the high school, middle school facility. And it's hard because there's residents that live around JMU's, but they turned it into a one-way with, you know that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
looked
yeah.
at it?
No, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
It's
And
the one
explain
thing
that. I've
that's
seen
worked.
that.
So it's one way, so there's
For like a half hour,
2
40 minutes.
lanes. No, it is one way now, cause it's not residential,
Oh,
but it's huge. So
Around
the
the building?
the line came out, same way, down Nashville Road in both directions to come up the driveway to get the kids. And it bunched up right there at waiting for their kids, right? So what they do now is they have the parents line up around the building. It's 2 lanes, one way. So there's a traffic lane on the right and a parked lane on the left, closest to the building. So the kids come out, whether it's the high school or the middle school, into their parent's car, and the parent just goes into the travel lane and gets going. So that's nice. The buses, though, line up. Are you familiar with it? There's a parking lot available that is not used in the morning or the afternoon. And so the buses go in kind of like this, and they get ready to just go. So that's both at drop-off and pick up.
They got a ton
So,
of room over there, they're lucky.
Yeah.
yeah, but it's the first traffic pattern that has worked.
Yeah. No, stay there, you feel free to sit there.
Did you come together?
Oh, the green, oh, yeah.
I didn't, no, I know that, I just, it was the colors, it was the colors. I knew
Not
that.
gonna do drop off, that's for sure.
So what do we need to do to try Pete's plan?
My kids on the bus.
Matt, you need anything from us?
No, is there a general consensus?
Do we have a
that
vote? Do we have a
do?
motion
You
for
don't-
Pete's plan? Does anybody like Pete's plan? I do.
I'll move Pete's plan.
Do we really need to have a motion for this? It's just a logistics issue. I mean, I think this is
Yeah,
a good
that's-
idea.
Why don't we, I think the next step would be to get us all together and then communicate this to Meg Fowler and Nikki Rowe, the principal and assistant principal,
Okay.
and say we need, how many more duty teachers do we need?
Two.
on this?
Probably need two more. Well,
We've got
so-
three, we need two more, we need five,
You-
right?
You said you were gonna try to go to 7 buses though.
Yep.
So this, in the AM.
So you need to
Yeah.
communicate to
Right, so
parents
this is
that
got-
they
I counted this time, it's only got 6.
They'll notice.
can't
I put
park.
6, he would like to add
Okay,
another
so-
bus
so
in
that's-
front.
So
The bus-
that's
no,
the only
they get
thing, we
there
just didn't
before
draw
the
another square in there.
Just
So
put another square,
that
like a
doesn't change
dumpster
the-
size.
doesn't change
can
the
do that.
That's
amount
my-
of teachers that
My
we
work
The
is
buses
only
will
the
push them out,
buses,
though.
What I would
this is Nikki's
recommend,
work.
sorry, what I would recommend is a teacher up by the dumpsters, where, before they turn left on Bishop, just to make sure the kids get off the bus and,
We already have one there now.
okay, not always there.
Yeah,
It's the
she's
policy.
always there, cause
It's
she
the
stops
stop
at
sign.
Oh,
traffic
that's
coming
right,
down
she's
Bishop.
always there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just,
You need her.
yeah. And one towards the 4th bus in the back, just to, get the kids moving off the bus so they don't dilly-dally.
We would also need to communicate to the principals to tell the parents that get there far before the buses do, that first 2 spots where the dumpsters are not for them any longer, and that they need,
They can't be there anyhow, can they?
they are, they park
See, what
there
happens is
before
that-
8
Why do
AM.
they park there? This is
They
a
sit
curb.
there, no, they sit right
To
where
get
they're
in
gonna
front
put
of
the
the buses.
buses.
Yeah, well, that's unacceptable.
Right next to the
Yeah,
dumpster,
we're
3
gonna
or
have to
4
train
cars
some of these
line up.
parents to
Yeah,
be
Well,
reasonable
we
individuals.
can't train them without communicating to them though first, so that's what
they
I'm
know
saying.
they shouldn't be sitting.
No,
there.
No,
Put some cones
those
up.
are their
There-
spots.
there
They're
could be a-
I
supposed
believe
to.
Gina's pretty available most mornings to go and police the parking lot.
Yeah.
I think she offered
We'll get her
herself.
out there with flags and whistles.
And
Those-
whoever does that can also go to the middle school in the afternoon, make sure they don't block where the buses line up, that would be awesome.
And also.
How about a
I
no
think
parking sign?
The first week, if the principal had there, or assistant, or some
Yes.
administrator.
Principal,
go out
for
there and say,
sure.
You
Yeah.
can't park here, you gotta get in line here.
Yeah, then
Yes.
try to-
And
And
nobody
nobody
will-
parks
they'll
with
worry
it.
about it.
And the use of
They just
cones is
started
always
doing
good.
that not that long
You know, I
ago.
know
But
you
in
guys
their
already
parking,
used the
as it
cones
is
to-
now, for parents, when they have their parking for drop-off, it tells the parents they can use those spots, that you're saying the buses will just push through, where the dumpsters are. So we have to tell the parents that they no longer can use those spots before we just push them
A no
over.
parking sign.
Right.
Yeah, I just mean.
Go ahead.
I second your motion.
I've not
I'm
made
with
a
you,
motion.
I'm with
We
you.
don't need a
Okay, we're
motion.
just gonna
To be
go with it?
tabulated.
Okay.
Communicate.
I second your motion.
I like the support kid.
Okay.
Doesn't always work that way, this
All right.
committee.
All those in favor of the motion?
But we're not
She said second. What do you want me to
No,
do?
I withdrew my motion before she did.
So we're all gonna
we
vote for
agree.
the non-motion.
All right.
It'll be good because we have to bring this before the school board just because we'll be asking for more teachers. We'll be asking for more teachers on duty and maybe possibly a little training for everyone on what they're gonna do.
And the
We
extra
don't need to wait,
teachers may
like,
only
weeks,
be
though, right?
necessary in the beginning planning part of it, because right now they have 3, and it works really well, and in the afternoon, they only have 3 when we do 7 buses. So I think that once we get everything in motion, maybe just having, the one at the maybe one additional way in the back in the morning might, so maybe 1 extra, but the 2 extra may dwindle to 1.
No.
So you guys will roll this out to the principals, to the teachers. The teachers will have a number, what their jobs are. Matt, do different teachers do duty, or is the same teachers?
Oh, I think they shift
rotate.
around,
They rotate. So
yeah.
that's gonna be also, like, how many weeks do you have bus duty, and then who's the new bus people?
I'll tell you
And
the best
Peter
thing-
has offered a class to teach some of the people how we work so that the crossing guards are all in sync with us.
Right.
He's
So
doing this, though, that's what the difference is.
Right,
I'm gonna make him go out there with the yellow
Right.
vest, he'll be fine.
Okay, that's
I
just
had-
in the weeds.
I
I'll
have to
get
let
out.
you know, the best school drop-off teachers, Miss Fiji and Miss Beard, they're wonderful. Used to see your mom occasionally, but
All right, I think
Put
we
a plug in.
we got some progress there. That's great. Thank you, Pete, air traffic controller. I think we're through that. Unless you need anything else.
No, we're
We have
fine.
approval of prior minutes next. Thank you guys. Yeah, appreciate it. And thank you.
And I didn't know you guys were on board. We're in for a lot of fun.
I'm okay if I'd be up at 4:30 in the morning, so.
Tom, the bus driver, bus 19, honestly, the man.
I'm hoping it
Yeah,
goes. Thank you.
he's very good guy. Takes care of our, very good guy. Goes above and beyond for the neighborhood.
Nice meeting you.
That's
well.
one thing that a lot of parents don't
Enjoy.
understand is these drivers think of these kids like their own. Like, really go out of their way to think of these kids their own. I always tell people I have over 4,000 students, or children, because they're mine.
It's true.
So-
Jeff, I think it's Jeff is my grandchildren's driver, and they go, Jeff, it's their buds.
They
Go
all
out of their
do
way
that.
to
Yeah, the
drop
same
them off
thing.
at
Their
the
buds.
schools, at people's houses after they've done their runs, like, they're just, I love my team, they're great, so. You lift your microphone on.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you. Motion on the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
I'll second that.
As written.
No, as amended. Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
So,
Second.
It's already made and seconded.
All right.
all right,
Yeah.
so,
Approve.
All good.
any?
I'll
any,
approve.
Vote.
Oh, no discussion on the minutes?
Well, you want to talk about it?
No, I didn't know. Anyone have any, no
No.
changes? All right. Okay.
Thank you. Next meeting dates, I think, is going to be after my tenure. So you guys figure that out between yourselves.
Sue was interested because, she apparently gets the night She asked about Wednesday nights, because Wednesday nights is bad for her. We used to be the second and fourth Monday, so that was opposite the school board. And
When-
we switched because,
When do we make the switch over?
this year, last year? was
No,
it?
no, no. When is the term change in April? April what?
The Friday after the election, assuming that they get the position.
Less than a month away.
It's the 8th.
All right. I'm just
It's-
trying to
it's
figure
the
out if I need to
8th.
schedule
The
another
election is
meeting
on the
now.
8th.
You should schedule another meeting because
Well, that was gonna depend if we
Okay.
had to do anything with traffic. I mean,
Yeah, traffic's good. So we got traffic's gonna be great from now on. I like Pete. He came through. You know what I mean? He's like, guys, I've been doing this in air traffic
Hey,
controller.
please, why don't you guys come up?
Yeah, and if Wednesday's no good, what day's best? And what day can we get in here?
I don't know. I mean, Wednesday is a good day to get in here, but we alternate. We used to alternate with the school board.
I am no good Monday through Friday.
I heard that about you, actually, as I tried to set up this meeting, because you'll notice the last meeting was November, if you can believe. We've been trying to get together.
That had nothing to do with you, though.
No,
that had
nothing to do with you.
him.
It had nothing to do with you.
Yeah, just I got
It
you
was
back there.
calendar, no, it had the calendar, because the school board set their snow date, so we wouldn't have the problems they had last year, on Wednesdays, every single one of them in January.
So this is kind of for you guys. Tuesdays, Thursdays. What works best for everybody?
Do you meet twice a month?
Twice a week?
Twice a month?
No.
Once?
Well,
Tuesdays already, right?
Donna. Donna wants to know if we meet twice a month.
No. Well, it's up to you
Sometimes we
guys.
have.
only
said
as
second.
needed.
If there's
Okay.
action items.
So sometimes it's crazy because like when we were the central office building, then we met a lot. And then sometimes it's, 5 times a year. So it depends on the need. The board will come down, the chairman of the board will meet with everyone, tell them what's on the agenda for you for the next year. I'm sure the building has been on the agenda for 15 years,
Keep going.
So one thing I wanted to get done.
at least 15 years.
How's Tuesday the 15th for everybody? It's tax day.
That's the
Sounds-
library
sounds
board of
perfect.
trustees.
Okay. How about the 17th?
Wait a minute.
The third week is, I've got a third.
Why don't you let us know
third
what's good for
Wednesday?
you?
Anything but the third week, I've got
22nd?
3 meetings on third
School board
week.
meets on the first and third Mondays. And
the-
then we have
First
any
and
other.
Thursdays are bad for me, second and
Yeah,
third,
Thursdays
second
are
and
bad
fourth.
for me.
The Mondays,
Second and fourth.
Mondays originally got ruled out because of me. So
Yeah.
if Mondays
That's-
work for everyone, that's,
We could go back to the first, second, and
Yeah.
third.
Mondays work for me except for school board.
Yeah.
And sometimes we move school board, so just as long as we're flexible.
Mondays are best.
So we
Yeah.
can just, I mean, we have been for years and years and years and years.
Mondays
It
work?
was the second and the fourth, because
How about
we had
Monday
a
the
school
4th?
board
Oh, no, that
liaison.
doesn't work.
Awesome.
Monday the 21st?
Easter Monday? Oh,
It's Easter Monday.
Monday, yeah, I got a lot of Easter Mondays.
What does that mean?
Nothing, it's just in my calendar.
Easter
That's
Mon-
all I know, even my calendar. It says Easter Monday. I was like,
Easter-
it's Easter Monday.
Nobody's doing anything Monday. It's Sunday.
It's just weird that it showed up on my phone.
Whenever you guys want to meet.
What day are you talking about?
Easter Monday.
April
April
21st.
21st.
April 21st, okay.
There's a
Perfect.
holiday called Easter Monday, apparently.
I didn't even know that, but I don't.
all day,
You know what it is? It must be a holiday, like Veterans Day isn't always on the 11th anymore, right?
Yeah, but Easter's a Sunday.
You good on the
No,
21st?
but it might be the holiday that people celebrate, the
I
day
don't know.
off at work.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
Good,
It's looking
good.
good.
You good on the 21st?
The school calendar is looking good, and
Good.
next week's school vacation.
Gage, good?
Yes.
Although that's, wait a minute.
Yep.
The 21st of April? That's the second,
Must have eliminated
that's the
holidays.
third.
Calendar.
First and third is when the school board meets.
Okay, so what you mean is
Yeah, that
it
won't work
needs
for
to
Lori.
be
That won't work for Lori.
the 28th, is what you're saying.
we're on school
So
vacation.
the
And that's
next
school-
meeting will
28th?
just be, all
Oh.
it's gonna be is getting everyone
A surprise.
together, deciding who's gonna be the chair, deciding who's gonna.
You start at 6.
I love that for you guys.
Right.
I mean, if the meeting.
I already called on it, so.
I don't.
Yeah, our meeting's.
They still. I lost last time. I'll lose again. I want to do it.
So,
Here's to hoping.
Well, this committee could meet on the 14th of April, that's the second Tuesday, or the second Monday, that's the second Monday.
So do you wanna try
She
for
said
that?
that the third week
I
of
have a
the
meeting
month
on-
is not good.
You have a meeting
yes,
School board meets the
the-
first.
on the 14th?
the 14th,
I know.
every month.
But
The
the
second
second
Monday, is the
14th
second
of
Monday of
April.
every month. I have the-
Just go to May.
So,
Yeah, I don't think we can, we just get back from Punta Cana, and I think our babysitting options will have left town by then, so.
Why don't you guys go into May? There's nothing to talk about anyway.
so you might need to move to Tuesdays if you can't do Mondays. So you're not, he's
I
not the
can't
only
do
one that
the
couldn't do
second-
Mondays.
I can't do the second Monday of the
I
month.
know, well, she's saying like.
Just go to the
oh,
first
right,
Monday
just
in
gonna
May.
do the fourth Monday?
The first
We
Monday
typically do.
is the school board meeting.
Yeah, we're supposed to be. Yeah.
Work it out, the schedules.
Well, not necessarily, but what else are you gonna do?
Why
You
don't we
gotta
get a
announce it at
date
the end of the
for
meeting.
April, and then we can figure out the rest.
Okay.
I think that was what we couldn't do.
So how's the first week in May for you? The first Monday in May?
The 5th,
That's the school board
School
meeting.
board meeting.
How's the second week in May?
the 12th.
The second week in May, May 12th is perfect.
Listen, guys.
No, that's the second.
Something's got to give here.
That's the
right?
that's the se-
You,
What do you
you know,
have?
Second
somebody's got to bail.
I'm the liaison to the adult community center. the board of directors.
I told,
My
I took
nudge.
that from Mackenzie Murphy, I told you not to take that.
Do we have to announce the meeting in this meeting, or can we figure it out? after?
Take
All right.
Can I
do we have a motion?
motion to adjourn the
Second.
meeting?
Second. Motion accepted. I call the meeting to finale at 8:23.
Well, if we don't